If you guys remember yesterday, we talked a little bit about playing only a specific amount of games to get you to a specific record. So we worked on going from 1500 to 1600, playing anywhere between like 5 and 10 games to replicate what would be a regional setting. Yo, Cherry, thank you for that sub. I really appreciate it. Hope we're having a good one on a 6-month streak. Welcome to the Metapod squad, my friend. But yeah, replicating a real tournament setting. The thing we're going to focus on today is playing just enough games to replicate the first few rounds of a regional before a lunch break. I know this is something that I personally really do struggle with. When I go to like a regional, you usually have like a, 6 to 7, sometimes 8 round tournament, but you get a lunch break after the 3rd round. And if you actually look at all the history of my regionals, other than like 2 out of all of them, I usually go 3-0. I have teams that are really, really good at winning the first 3, and then whatever it is in a lunch break, it really messes up my headspace. I guess I get like not necessarily full of myself, but I feel like I already did what I set out to do and I'm doing okay, so it's probably fine. When in reality, I should be focusing a lot more and then reprogramming my brain because I'm going to be fighting harder players. Like every single time you win, you fight harder players. So today, what we're going to be practicing is just playing enough games to go into that lunch break positively. And you can see we're currently 7-0. I'm going to day 2. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're also going to be pausing the games a lot and breaking down what we could be doing in the team preview in each turn to showcase the moves that I made, why I made them, and hopefully that'll give like a little bit of an idea why I'm making the plays that I'm making. Food makes me sleepy, so it's probably that. Are you talking about for like the lunch break? You don't even get to eat anything on the lunch break because like a hot dog's like $20 and I'm not eating a hot dog, so there's nothing to eat anyways at like regionals, usually, anything good. And if you want to go drive somewhere, you got to like repay for parking, and it's a pain in the butt. But let's open up the page. There it is. So we're going to go into day 2. Like I said, I'm still undefeated. We're still playing with the Groudon team. I guess I'll show the team one more time for people that want to see it. It's over here. Team is going to be not that. Right here. So this is still the team that we're using. I like this team a lot. I like the Groudon. I like the Zard. I like what it brings to the table. Some problem matchups are like different sort of rain matchups, some sort of Cali matchups. And yeah, I think that we can still do okay versus a lot of stuff. And I'm very happy with how this team's performed so far. So hopefully we can keep the win streak alive. But yeah, if you guys want to check out this rental, check out the Pokebase, everything like that, it's up on my Patreon. You guys can go check that out whenever you feel like it. And let's start up the screen share. So we're going to be reviewing replays just like yesterday. We're reviewing replays. And that's how I always do it. I hate playing my tournament games on stream. I've said that a bunch of times before. I really like playing my tournament games off the stream. And so that's why we're going to be doing it like this. Let me just send out my tweet saying that I'm live. And let me close that. Right here. It's not really $20 a hot dog. I was exaggerating, but like I'm not going to pay it anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to buy a shitty, like, convention center hot dog. You also have to, like, wait in the line and stuff like that. It's a pain in the butt. But yeah, I do have a problem, I guess, in after my lunch break, I always kind of, like, secretly hope that my opponents aren't going to show up, like they're late from lunch. Because that's happened one time. I got a free win after a lunch break one time. Because my opponent didn't show up. Like, they were, like, caught in traffic, and I got the win. Because you get your pairings to the next round before the lunch break starts. And so ever since then, I've kind of like hoped they don't show up. And then when they do show up at the last minute, I feel guilty for wanting a free win, and it makes me play more timid than I should be. You know, it happens like every regional. I always lose the first round after the lunch break, and then I get back in the game and usually do fine. So I'll usually go into like top cut with like a 6-2. So I'll go 3-0, 1 loss, 2 wins, 1 loss in the last round because it doesn't really matter at that point. And you don't really even want to show your tech, and then you go into top cut with like 6-2. But currently we are undefeated, and we're going to be playing 3 really, really cool games today. And hopefully you guys like this, because there's going to be some really cool stuff to show off in today's games specifically. Like, I think today's games are like, not necessarily like a masterclass in how to play Pokemon, but like, oh my gosh, like we're about to be in here. We're about to be in here having an absolutely amazing, wonderful time. So you can see I'm still 1600, and I've only played 7 games. You can see it on the screen right now. I'm showing you guys the raw footage that shows basically everything that I've done so far. And what we're going to do is we're going to like pause the team preview and talk about what you could be doing. So in this first game, I'm fighting someone that is 1652. Now, I want to talk about the reason why, like, we're also not playing all our games on the first day. Note that I only played 7 games. Is that now I'm going to be fighting against people that have played, 15, 20, 30 games, potentially almost 30 games, because we're in the middle of day 2 right now. So that means I will be fighting people that have a lot more points than me, which is great if you're fighting to get the most amount of points possible, because if you win, cool, you get a lot of points because you beat someone that was higher. But if you lose less points. So it's really, really smart if you're playing just to get the most amount of points possible to, do it how I've been doing it. Like I said, I have 7 wins right now, but I probably have the record of someone, if they just played on the first day, I probably have the points of someone that's played like 10 or 11 almost. Just throwing that out there. So I'm very smart with how I've been organizing it. And I want to say, the number one problem that people had with my games yesterday was that they were all against like teams that were bad. And again, I specifically played at a time to get those points versus those players, and I'm not going to apologize for doing that because that was the point. But today I will say all the games, very high level opponents, very good teams, hard matchups, and we're actually going to learn a lot today. So hopefully you guys are excited. This first game, they have Zacian and Cali Shadow. So Cali Shadow actually is a problem for this team. You may think Cali Shadow's not a problem. You have Incin and Grim. You can deal with Cali Shadow easy. Yeah, the thing is, you never really see me bring the Incin or Grim, especially as lead options. And again, Incin and Grim, in certain case scenarios, get sent to the grinder by things like Zacian, Thundy. The other team that I was actually thinking about heavily preparing for this tournament was one that went Thundy Calyrex. So I definitely over-respect Thundy Calyrex. I think that's probably one of, if not the most aggressive lead in the game. You can't Thunder Wave the Thundy, you can't intimidate the Thundy, you can't fake out either of them. It's one of the best leads in the game. And it's going to be very, very hard to deal with it. So what we're going to have to do is play this a little bit differently, play to our outs, force them to respect certain options, while also not just automatically losing to, the power that is Thundy Cali, while also at the same time respecting redirections from Inity, respecting screens, respecting fake outs from Incins, Intimidates, things like that. So this game has the potential to get away from me very fast. Remember, this guy has, he has a lot more points than me. He has a higher rating. So obviously it's someone that you need to respect in the situation. It shows they know how to play their team. So in this situation, obviously, I know that Groudon is going to be pivotal in getting me into a good position here. And again, I still have to go with my Zard Groudon. But the way that we're going to play Zard Groudon is going to be very different. We do have to bring the Incin, we have to bring the Zacian. We already know the flowchart of mons that we have to bring for this matchup. But we have to switch in differently. We have to tunnel them under respecting different options. And again, that Thundy, while I'm assuming it's a Defiant Thundy, the cool thing about Thundy Cali is they can totally be like Prankster Thundy with like taunts, eerie impulses, thunder waves, and all that stuff, and just set it for Cali to do its best. Like I said, the other team that I was preparing for the tournament was like a really big vested Thundy with like a really, really big Calyrex, and that was the team that I thought would do really well in this tournament. If I had to pick like a sleeper team that would do really well, it'd be like a Thundy Cali Zacian team, which is I guess I can show that pace sometimes since I'm not going to use it, but yeah, that team was nuts. I won almost every game that I played in like a couple turns. Is this a recording? Yeah, I already played my games. I always do this. I always do this for tournaments. I already play my games, and then we just take a look at them and pause and talk about the things that I did right, I could be doing better, so you guys can better understand the things that you guys can be doing in your own games. So anyways, let's see what they lead with. It's going to be Cali and Thundy. Of course, Thundy Cali, the best, most aggressive lead in the game. And we're leading with our same lead. We've led with this lead almost every time. It's really, really good. The things that beat this Zard, remember that Thundy is going to have to be Life Orbed or Adamant to be able to KO our Zard, or have like a Magnet, some sort of damage modifier. Expert Butt would also work. If they just want to max it with like a 252 attack, Jolly Thundy, and go for the max Lightning, it will not KO the Zard. But, see, the problem here is when you add the Calyrex. Because if they were to go Calyrex Astro Barrage first, that does enough damage to where you don't need to be you don't have to be Life Orb or Adamant or have a damage multiplier. Like, if you can just double into my Zard with 2 mons that are faster and take it out on the first turn, right? That's a problem. That's like a really, really, really big problem. So what we have to do in this situation, since we are the players who are behind here, is we have to make 2 threats We have to make 2 threats that are so important to respect that our opponent, if they're going to double into something, has to overcommit to do that. And they don't want to do that too many times, otherwise they risk getting protect baited. So you're going to see what we do in this situation here. Again, we are the ones playing behind. We're going with a little bit of a cheesy idea here that doesn't always work, but it was our best option given the situation against, I would say, a bad matchup in Cali Thunder. Like, even Zashi wouldn't be good here, because again, they could still go for like Thunder Waves and things like that. There's so many different potential things could happen from their lead. So yeah, right now, we're just going to still max the Zard. We're going to click the Wildfire into the Cali slot, because Thundy, we can wait that thing out. You're going to see how we deal with the Thundy in a little bit. But yeah, we're going to create 2 problem Pokemon here, and we're going to force them to respect our authority. Again, this is the same kind of play that I make versus most teams. It's just a bad matchup because both of their Mons do outspeed my Charizard. So it's, again, really, really hard to get out of here. And I would not have... Let's talk about this. If for some reason they just nuked my Zard first turn, like Wild Charge Astral Barrage. By the way, they do have to Wild Charge. Airstream wouldn't get it. That would suck, right? We would lose our Max in the first turn, but in doing so, I will have passed the torch from my Maxmon into an SD'd Groudon. I could then send out Incin. I can go protect Groudon, wait a turn, KO the Cali, do things like that, and then get myself a little bit out of a problem, while also still creating a problem because we're Defiant proccing the Thundy. Again, you're going to see how we deal with this. This is the only out that I could have actually found in this situation, was forcing them to over-respect Groudon, right? And I want to talk a little bit about something here. You see, Groudon doesn't die because we're literally the best players in the world. Let's talk about this lead right here. Like the lead. Let's talk about the leads again. We led like this. Now, you saw that they airstreamed our Groudon. Why did they airstream our Groudon? Think about it. Why did they just wild charge the Zard? Again, like I said, airstream plus Astral will not KO a Charizard. It has too much bulk specialty. Again, the Calyrex would have to have some sort of damage modifier, like a Specs Calyrex, to be able to maybe put us in that. But why didn't they just wild charge the Zard? Why? The reason is we have 2 ground types in our team preview, and that Gastrodon is so impactful just being in our team preview in the back. By having Groudon on one slot, it makes it so they can't just go for the electric Max Electric into the Zard slot. And so that's the really cool thing about Gastrodon, is their weaknesses are polar opposites. If you want to go for rock attacks, I can switch in the Gastrodon. If you want to go for electric attacks, switch in the Gastrodon. Water attacks, switch in the Gastrodon. It's really, really good conditioning our opponents to respect those options. And we don't always have to switch in the Gastrodon. We didn't even bring it this game, and that's the strength that Gastrodon brings in the back of the team preview. If anyone has a paste this team, I want to try it. Yeah, I have a paste. It's right here. It's right there. The paste bin and the rental code are both up on Patreon. You guys can check those out right now, and that's where the paste is. But yeah, we were in a really, really good spot. We maxed the Zard, and let's go right here. So we saw them go for the Airstream onto our Groudon, right? Airstream into the Groudon. Groudon lives because we're literally the best players of all time. And we get to go for the Wildfire. You may be thinking, why didn't you Airstream back? The reason is we really got to get the Calyrex off the board. This respects Sash Cali the most, while also still leaving room for Groudon to be a big bully. And if I'm Airstreaming and you're Airstreaming, you're still keeping up the fact that you're faster. I don't have to try and match your speed. And yeah, they could have just went for the Wild Charge, but why would they risk everything? If they went for the Wild Charge and I switched in Gastro and they went for... if I maxed the Groudon instead, switched in Gastro, and just popped your Cali with the Max Rockfall and I won the game, I would win the game, right? So that's why you don't want to always go all in with, the opponent. Like, that's why they didn't go all in. They didn't want to risk everything. And so now, we're still not even ahead. We took out a Cali Shadow, but there is still a big Thundy on the board. We now are definitely threatened on that Thundy slot. They sent out the Incin, which I was really surprised to see Incin, which is actually good for me. Like, Incin over... Like, they have a Zacian. If they would have sent out Zacian here, they would have been in a better spot. Because, yeah, they have Fake Out into our Groudon slot, but, like, if we just protect, Groudon can then P-Blades you next turn. Remember, we Wide-Herbed away the Intimidate. So, like, we don't have to care. Or, wait, did we? Wait, how did we not... How did my Wide-Herb not activate? You saw the Wide-Herb was still up, right? Like, I'll go back. Groudon's attack fell. Wide-Herb? Am I an idiot? Why isn't that working? Charizard's attack fell. Groudon's attack fell. Hello? Wide-Herb? Are you okay? Why didn't that work? I'm just thinking about that right now. Why didn't my Wide-Herb activate? I'm thinking about why that didn't work. There's no more Cali. There's nothing that stops my wide herb, right? Maybe chat has the answer. Unnerve? Where? Wide herb isn't affected by Unnerve. Wide herb only activates on a negative stat. Yeah, I got intimidated. Oh, you're right. Yeah, wide herb only activates on negative. We're at plus. We're still at plus right now. You're right. That's why. Cool. Thank you. That's the answer. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Anyways, we're still at +1 on the Groudon, though. That's fine. Thank you for that. I'm an idiot. And see, we're learning more things. Yeah, I'm still +1. You were correct. Anyways, we just are still fine here, though. The fact they sent out something slow means we can just protect bait and then just pin them with the Groudon. Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't use Swords Dance Wide Herb that often. Anyways, we go for the Protect about the Fake Out. Again, they could totally go into the Groudon here, but again, this is where we're going to start to, like, low-key start funneling them into respecting the right options. Again, they could still have gone for the Wild Charge, but they have to Airstream. And remember, like I said, Airstream and Astral Barrage do not KO Zard. Doesn't really work like that. And again, we don't need to trade Airstreams in that in Sim. We can check in Sim with our Groudon or in Sim with our Zacian and stuff like that. No, yeah, it was not rude. I didn't think it came off rude at all. So now we really weaken their Thundy, and this is really cool. Look how low the Thundy is, right? Look how low the Thundy is, and there's the fire ticking. Now watch this. This is our last turn. We have a +1 Groudon and a Zard that's in a pretty good spot. We're going to max guard. We're going to tunnel them into respecting Zard because we need Zard to check the Zacian in the back. And I was thinking about attacking here. I was like, you know what? I have a better idea. This is Thundy's last turn. I'm going to give Thundy the proc because I think Thundy's going to take the bait into the Zard. That Zard's hit it pretty hard twice. I think that they're just going to go for either an attack into the Zard and use the Incin to, like, finish off the Groudon because they probably still think they're okay. But I also don't just want to fodder my Groudon. I can, like, literally save my Groudon and create a secondary threat late game. And, there it is. 35 months super dropping the big sub. Thank you so much. Anyways, you can see right here, the Intimidate here. It's going to give him a proc on the Thundy. But we're in a really, really good spot. Watch this. Watch what happens here. So we see the double Intimidate. Max guard the Zard, because of course we do. Max guard Zard. Airstream blocked. We do be taking those. You're not getting any more boost in my house. And Flare Blitz doesn't really matter to me. Like, in Sin, that's fine. And now, with the Sun... Sorry, not the Sun. The Wildfire ticking on their Thundy. Zard's also ticking out, but they're within range for Fake Out now. And if they protect with the Thundy... Watch what we do here. This is actually a really, really important turn. If we Fake Out into Thundy and he stays in, he dies. But what we're going to do is going to be even more next level. Because if Thundy protects, he dies. And if it switches the Zacian to block the Fake Out, we're going to Blast Burn into that same slot to check the Zacian. So this is a win-win. We're either guaranteeing getting rid of Thundy with Fake Out, and this would get redirected Blast Burn into Incin, or we're going to have them switch in Zacian, pop that guy in the mouth with the Blast Burn, and then Zard takes out to the Sun. We can then resend out something like our Groudon to repin. So this is a win-win. And even if they protect with the Thundy, they're still going to lose their Thundy to the Wildfire. So we trade basically our Zard for Thundy, which is a win at this point, in my opinion. So they just need the Fake Out. But again, since we double targeted that, this Blast Burn gets redirected into the Incin, which is a absolutely massive ton of damage that didn't even need to be happening, right? It didn't even need to happen. Also, they, I think they're parting shotting this turn. They parting shot my Zard, which is totally fine. I think they thought I was going to switch the Zard out, and I just totally didn't need to. Don't need to. Like, that was a really good play. And I wish they would have switched in the Zacian. Like, realistically, I wish they switched in that Zacian. But it is what it is. I still think we're in a great spot. Considering this was, like, one of the worst matchups, like, Cali Thundy on paper, we're doing a really, really good job. And the Zacian's going to come in and take a Wildfire tick since they brought it in before. So that's great. Everything's going according to plan. Like I said, Zard's going to take out from the solar power, but we still have really, really good mons in the back. We still have Zacian and Groudon, both of our restricteds, and I think we're in a great spot. So we send out my boy Groudon, I think. I think the Groudon comes out. I was really thinking about here, Zacian would lose its Intrepid Sword boost, and Groudon still had its Wider. That's where I noticed this too, and I was like, that's weird. But, you know, Groudon's going to be able to come out, and you can totally fake out the Groudon. Like, ain't no one saying that you can't fake out the Groudon here. Yo, welcome. What's up? Saw some of the YouTube content, thought to check out the stream. Well, thank you for checking out the stream. We're reviewing some replays from the IC today. So, Incin comes out, and in this situation, the thing I really like is that my Groudon is still alive. You could totally fake out Groudon, but you could also fake out Incin. You could read my Groudon protecting to block your fake out, which I've done before, and go for the double target on the Incin. But if you do that, you're opening yourself up to a P-Blade. So basically what I've created here is a situation where your only out is to protect your Zacian, KO my Groudon, and then I just send out my Zacian unintimidated, and then I still double into your Zacian to get the win, because you're going to take one more tick of the fire. So I've already won the game at this point, but let's see if we can win the game without showing that we even brought Zacian to the back. Let's see if we can win it a little bit cleaner by making, again, two main threats. That's what this team does so well. It creates two threats that a lot of teams just don't have the resources to respect both situations. Was testing Scarf Game with Lucario last night? Yeah, Scarf Final Game with Lucario was good. So they do go for the fake out into the Incin. They rev me protecting with Groudon. We don't be protecting out here. We lose the Incin. That's completely fine. Like, I will trade my Incin for a double off the P-Blades. Like, we do be taking these P-Blades all the way to the bank. Yeah, I could have missed these, but we still have a Zacian in the back. We would have been able to send out our Zacian. We would have been able to one-shot their Incin. We would have been fine. Yeah, so we're just in a great spot there. And we take those wins, and we didn't even use our Zacian. In one of the worst matchups that I think this team has is that Cali Thundy lead. And again, this guy had a lot more points than me too, so I think we played that really, really well. We brought the right Pokemon, we switched in our Incin to take advantage, and we created big pins against people that had an advantageous Pokemon with speed tiering like above us. So that was a really, really good play. I think that was like actually really, really well played. Now also, that was my first game of the day. Like I was like groggy, waking up, moving, grooving, drinking my coffee, and I'm really happy that that went the way that that went. Just because, you know, it's a really hard matchup. It could have went so wrong so many times, and we just created multiple pins. We kept them respecting multiple big threats at the same time. So it was a really, really good play. But it doesn't even hold a candle to this next game. It doesn't even hold a candle to how well we play this game right here. So we're 8-0, and we're 16-21, not bad. And we're going to be playing against someone, I think they have a little bit lower rating, but their team is my worst matchup. And we're going to talk about why it's my worst matchup. Gotta head out, can't wait to watch this one on YouTube. This is a good one. Is that a custom shirt that looks so cool? What's the fabric? It is like a mesh, like it's a jersey, right? This is my actual Lazarus jersey. My name's on the back of it. I have a bunch of like Unite tournaments today for the World Championship qualifiers, so that's why I'm going to be doing that right after this. You guys can check out my Unite channel right here. Spudmate gifting us sub, we appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, you guys can check out the Unite channel right there. But like I said, I got a lot of Lazarus stuff to do. I'll be wearing this to the regional as well. Again, I'm a sponsored player. I'm going to be going to the regional to represent Lazarus, and I figured since I do two birds, one stone. I was really happy. I was really proud of these games too. So I was like, I'm gonna wear my Lazarus jersey on stream. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyways, this is a really, really bad matchup. Again, more Calyrex. Calyrex Lecky, similar to the Thundy. Like, Zard can't hang with this, right? You're actually going to see what I do here. Believe it or not, I don't know if it'll pop up on screen, but like about a minute into the team preview, I still hadn't picked my Mons. Like, I screenshot it because I was like, that team right there is nuts. And like, I'm probably going to build a team like that because I was like, I was theory crafting what I need to do, and I was like, I don't see a bad matchup for that team if they play it correctly. The only thing we can do is force them to play incorrectly, and we're gonna show you guys the one freaking Doctor Strange combo that wins us this game. What would you guys lead in this situation? What four would you bring, and in what order? While you guys are thinking about it, I'll answer the Unite questions. Who do you play for Unite? I like playing Zard, but I'm the jungler on my team. And I'll be, like I said, recording the videos from like the monthly qualifier, and that'll go up on YouTube. We have some high-level players on the team, so it's really, really nice. You say Gastro Grim? Can you tell me why? Because Grim is a slow loss. Grim is definitely a slow loss. It doesn't get you anything. Because if you were to put up like a light screen to block a move from the Seismitoad, you would just die. Like you will still die. Groudon Grim. So why are you? All right. So I want to talk about something. Grim is not a Pokemon that comes as a lead in this team. I added Grim to this team because it has like the most turn 1 pressure, but it also forces your opponents to respect that pressure, and so they're going to be fine versus your Grims. This is just a little note here. You shouldn't be using screens as heavily in a best of 1 because you'll just get crit. You'll just get crit. I don't want to get crit. So like we're not really we're not going to be using Grim. Groudon and Incineroar. Okay. Well, there is one way to win. Because, again, the reason why this league's problematic, right? They could go Kyogre and Torn. And if they go Spout with a faster Kyogre and they Rain Dance over my Groudon, we die. It doesn't matter if we go Groudon Grim. If we set Light Screen, we're still dead because they took away my Sun. So if that's a Rain Dance Torn, which of course it is on that team, we also have to expect like Rain Dance Lucky and stuff like that. If they have Rain Dance, we lose the game. Right? All these screens people are setting, intimidates, fake outs, doesn't work. You know, even if I were to do like Insane Groudon, the Kyogre's still faster than me. They could just max it and set the rain. How fast is Groudon? Groudon's actually pretty fast, but it's not as fast as a fast Ogre. And the thing is, you know that Ogre's fast. It's paired with an Electro Leblecki and a Shadow Rider, right? It has speed investment. It's probably Scarfed, right? Let's be realistic. So, in this situation, if I were to lead Groudon in any situation, that's almost a loss. Almost. It's like so almost a loss. There's only one scenario where Groudon is a right lead, which we'll talk about in a sec. Grim Groudon. So we're going to talk about you're almost there. You don't see the screens won't save you, right? You can set that light screen. If they go Rain Dance and they go like Water Spout or Geyser, you still lose your Groudon because they just take you away. Even if you max it, it's still dead. Finally caught you online. I'm watching YouTubers for a few years. Love the content. Well, thank you so much. You guys are almost there. Again, this is the only way that we win is to Doctor Strange them. So, the win condition here is we have to lead with something. So I guess I'll give a spoiler. You gotta lead with Gastrodon. And you're like, what? Lead Gastrodon? You're supposed to switch in the Gastrodon to get the Storm Drain proc? Okay. No, you have to lead with it. You have to lead with the Gastrodon. Gastrodon's good versus Sin. Gastrodon's good versus Lucky. Gastrodon is good versus Ogre, good versus Torn, and it can get power whipped in the face by a freaking Seismitoad. So, thank you, Humana, for liking those videos. I appreciate it. So, if you lead Gastrodon and Groudon, that creates a situation where if they were to lead Torn and Kyogre or Torn and Seismitoad, they're going to have to hard cast the Rain Dance, which means they cannot taunt your Gastrodon, which means if they were to go Torn Ogre, you just go protect Gastrodon, they go Rain Dance Spout, and you just yawn their Ogre, and then you just switch out your Groudon, right? And that's a win, right? You will probably do okay, because they can't Thunder you either, because you have 2 ground types. Also, that lead stops Alecki from working. You have 2 ground types. So, if you lead Groudon Gastrodon, that really tunnels them into over-respecting that Gastrodon while still having to click the Rain Dance. And so what you can do is look at the Pokemon that they have that can actually deal with the Gastrodon. That's going to be Seismitoad. And you can make that Seismitoad waste his time doing single target moves that don't work. Because you're just going to switch out your Gastrodon, you're going to switch it back in, you're going to switch it out, you're going to, hokey pokey and turn yourself about. So watch what we do in this situation. Just go right here. Let's speed this up. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it. But you see I go Gastro, Groudon, Incin, Zacian. And you need Incineroar. It has to be Incineroar. For everyone that said bring Grim, I'm not going to say that you're wrong in bringing Grim, but I will say that Grim is not nearly as optimal in this situation. I played that team yesterday, used Trick Room, Venu. Yeah, that's worked. Trick Room, Venu would be fine. We don't have that. we have a bad matchup. So, leading Gastrodon tunnels them into over-respecting Gastrodon. And in doing so, they're going to waste all their max turns. And in doing so, it's going to win us the game. So watch this. So, Seismitoad Torn. Again, the only way they do this is if they have Rain Dance Torn, which they totally have to have. And if they have Rain Dance Torn, they're going to have like Rain Dance, Hurricane, Tailwind. They might have Protect. They might have Taunt, but they probably don't have to Protect in that situation, which we're going to talk about later. So, in this situation, we just switch out. You gotta switch in the Incineroar. And it's also this Incin pins the Thundy next turn, the Torn, so then they can't go for a Tailwind play. You can just fake out him, nuke him if you want. But it's also swapping in on the... also, I want to talk about this. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm thinking about what I need to do. I'm thinking about Swords Dancing because I know the Groudon's going to be getting away with this safe. But watch what we do here. We actually Dynamax the Groudon. We actually do Dynamax the Groudon. Because we're going to be able to two-shot that Seismitoad and put that Seismitoad in a spot that it really doesn't want to be in. So being able to two-shot Seismitoad and giving it... You basically give Seismitoad a one-turn chance to change the game, and you make him have to risk everything. Are there actual 2-hit KOs if you have Glasses on Grim? What do you mean? Yeah, there's a bunch of one-hit KOs if you have glasses on Grim. They die. They're dead. But anyways, you see the max of Seismitoad, obviously. I'm really happy to see a max Toad in this situation. Max Kyogre would have been a lot harder to deal with. Even Max Torn would have been probably hard to deal with because they can just Airstream out my Gastro. So I'm happy to see this. This is a Pokemon we can take advantage of. And remember, we switched out a Gastrodon. Gastrodon has a ton of good resistances, but just one weakness, and that's Grass Attack. So we switched it in for something that mitigates Grass Attacks. Also, I want to note, the cool thing about Seismitoad is that you don't know if it's physical or special, right? So it can have like Power Whip or Grass Knot, and you can do all these different things. Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, Earthquake, all these different things. So we intimidated it, and we're Max Quaking. So we don't know which one it is, but we also don't want to lose our Groudon to it either. So we see the Rain Dance, the most obvious Rain Dance I've ever seen in my life, right? And of course it's the Overgrowth. Of course! Of course it's the Overgrowth! Why would it be anything other than Overgrowth in this situation? They have to. We forced them to do this. We defensively pinned them. That's nuts. That's like super nuts. That's crazy. Like, we're their worst nightmare right now, and we're quaking. Don't take the bait and get that Torn off the board. If you take the bait and get the Torn off the board, the Torn is useless at this point in the game. If you open up a spot for that Kyogre to come out, we will lose the game. So you got to leave that Torn up for just a little bit longer. So doing over half, note that that was over half with that Max Quake. They had to Grassy Terrain back into being about half. So we did about 52%. Now we just switch back in the Gastro because what are you going to do here? You got your Rain. You want to use it? You want to hit that Groudon? I'd hit Groudon. Groudon's a pretty good hit. Oh, you want to hit Incin? You can hit Incin. That's a pretty good hit. You know what you can't do is you can't max Geyser in this situation if we switch in the Gastrodon. So by Dynamaxing there, by going all in on your Seismitoad, you effectively lost the game. There's nothing they can really do there. And I think that was seriously like my only Doctor Strange 1 in 10,000 Infinity Stones way to win this game is by really, really forcing them to respect that Gastro. So there's the Geyser. Yeah, we got to take those. So Storm Drain's up. And I do not care about your Tornadus. So it goes for the Hurricane into the Gastro, which is the right target. We get Never Lucky. We actually get confused, which kind of does suck. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But he would have had to Overgrowth again. But even if he did, that's the thing. Even if you did Overgrowth again, I still take out your Toad. That's the thing. I still trade for your Toad, and that's the win for me. Because at this point, all we have to do is take out your Torn with a move, and then we basically just can send out Groudon to check your Ogre. Why would they not Overgrowth the Dawn? Because it won't do anything. Yeah, like Overgrowth is not stabbed. You have a terrain boost now, but like remember, I intimidated you and it had a max Quake boost. That Overgrowth would do about 40%. So you still lose, you know. Like that's why. Like it doesn't get you anything. Groudon doesn't die. Yeah, we have a pretty bulky Groudon. So, like, we're super safe. Like, the Intimidate was very, very valuable paired with the Max Quake to be able to deal with that Seismitoad. So now, you can send your Ogre if you want, but, like, I have a Gastro. It sucks that I'm confused, so I can't protect to wait out your turns, but, like, I'm in a good spot. So we see the Shadow Rider, and I was like, what the hell? Like, where is this Ogre? Did you not bring it? Because I really think Shadow Rider is not good here. Because, like, what do they have to do? They're basically giving me a free switch back into my Incin. I'm not afraid of anything that they have. And in doing so, they're going to let me free KO one of their mons. We actually want to take out the Torn here so they can't taunt my Gastro later on in the game. We actually don't have to care about the Shadow Rider. If anything, Torn is a lot harder to deal with, in my opinion, at this point in the game. We also are going to be setting the Rocks to be able to deal, like, break Sashes after the Grassy Terrain's gone. So switching the Incin. Yeah, Groudon's really big right now. Really big. We waste the Intimidate. Astral, we don't care. It's good damage on the Incin, but we still don't care. And the Hurricane into the Groudon. Do they get the Confuse? Look how much that didn't do. And big Rockfall. No Confuse this time. No Confuse, you lose. And that guy goes down. It wasn't even Sash, which tells me the Sash was on the Shadow Rider. And so they have Ogre Shadow Rider now. But if you look like how I organized it here, I wanted to get a KO that turn, by the way. If I just would have thrown like a Max Quake into the Cali, it would have clocked a Sash. So that's why we wanted to get the Torn off the board and respect it was something that would have broke through Sash on Torn. So now when you send out your Kyogre, I have a Fake Out user that I switched in. So it's like, OMG, baby. This is so good. All we need to do is soften up those mons, and we can just use our Zacian in the back to clean up if we have to. So we don't have to like over-respect Calyrex and double up into it. We don't have to get protect baited by anything. We have big AoE options, and we have the fake out pin on our bad matchup. And because of this fake out pin, we're going to see when the grassy terrain and the weather, like just the grassy terrain, go into the Kyogre to see who's actually faster. We're going to see when the Kyogre flinches if it actually stays in and eats the fake out. We're going to get to see when the flinch happens, see if my Groudon's actually faster than the Kyogre. So then if it is, I can abuse it next turn. Or if it's not, I can play defensively and switch into Gastrodon or something. So yeah, we just go for the P-Blades, and we go for a fake out. How would you play that if you were them? You wouldn't max your Toad. The way to play that is to actually lead the Ogre, the Torn Ogre, and just give Gastrodon all the fucking boosts it wants, and taunt the Gastrodon. Like, you don't set the rain. If anything, you set the rain by maxing. No, you don't max at all. Yeah, you just don't set the rain. You go for like a spout to do good damage to Groudon, and you taunt the Gastrodon to stop the yawn, and then next turn you can set the rain, finish off the Groudon, give the Gastrodon a +2, and then you deal with your set. You save the side spin on the back and take Gastrodon out at the late game, or take out Gastrodon with Shadow Rider. Yeah, maxing Toad lost the game, and they had to. If they didn't max it, they didn't have to max it, but like if they didn't max it, remember I would have just O-code them with the max Quake. So we had the win anyways. Like we had them in the palm of our hands from the start of the game. I would say this is the worst matchup, because also they still have the Cali, which is a big problem. It outspeeds my Zacian. It can pin my Groudon. Red card benefited us. Yeah, it was also a red card Cali, which is kind of cool. I wouldn't say it benefited us because I was at +2 on my Groudon, but like I will definitely take this. Like, it doesn't really matter. At this point, we can just go for yawns on things. We don't have to do any extra damage. We can just go for yawns, and we're fine. And they basically have to like go after the Gastro. So this is the situation. You can go for like an Origin Pulse, and an Astral to take out my Incin. That's completely fine. Or you can go for the Astral Ice Beam into the Gastro, but then you lose your Cali, and then I just send out Groudon and win the game. So it was a win-win. Again, this is what I like talking about. When you see teams like this that are using a little bit more glass cannons like we're seeing on this side, you create two threats in that late game situation, and they can't stop both. They always can't stop both. So you could stop the Gastro or the Incin. Either one of them wins me the game. So we do be taking those. And I get my Citrus Berry procced. So you get your Kyogre up, and then I can just send out my Groudon, and we're fine. And so in this situation, we send out the Groudon. We're going to go actually for like a Protect Parting Shot, so we can then get a Zacian safely, but it's fine. Reason for Throat Chop over Lariat. Throat Chop, we're actually using a very, very fast Incin. So the reason we have Throat Chop is so we can Throat Chop other Incineroars to stop them from Parting Shotting our Zard. Play this team so well. I know, right? All it took was like 1 day of prep. I made this team. I made this team like on stream in the day. Showed you guys how I made it. I made a video about it. If you guys want to see how I made the team, yeah, I told you guys how to do it. And we'll take those wins. So we got to update the win-loss counter. And we're doing okay. We're 9-0. Again, if you guys wanted to, check out this team. The rental code and the Poke Paste is up on Patreon, as well as the YouTube video is up on just YouTube, showing like how I made it, how I gathered the resources, how I did my calcs to change it from being standard, and the slight deviations I made from like a standard version of this team. Crushing it, kill, keep roll. Crushing it, Phil, keep it rolling. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm liking this team though. It's working very well for me. So we're 9-0, and I want to talk about something. So a lot of people are like, I mean, I went 15-0 day one, I went 14-0 on day one, and then they're like, I went 10-5 the next day, or you hear whatever the records were the next day. It's funny. The person that's going to win this tournament is probably going to go 45-0. The person maybe the person that wins is going to go 44-1. The person that gets second is going to go like 43-2. And the rest of the top 5 are probably going to be 42-3. They go 14-1 each day, or 15-0 on the first day, 2 losses on the second day, and then 1 loss on the third day. That's pretty realistic. As far as like for, you know, how I would compare to those players, they're way better than me. Those players are way better than me. They have better teams. They've done more prep. They deserve those accolades. I'm not trying to say when I say that I'm going undefeated that I'm anywhere near them, because I'm only playing like 10 or 11 games. But what I will say is, you know, with those players that you see go 14-1 on the first day, they don't always win the first 10, you know? What I'm trying to say is I could probably go and win more games but I don't really want to. I feel like I got all the testing I wanted to do to understand this team out of these games. We're going to play one more game. I have one more really cool game to show you guys. We're not done. But I wanted to test replicating day one, what it would be like taking this team to like a best of one PC or midseason, playing about 6 or 7 rounds. And then in the second day, I wanted to replicate making sure I had my A game on for my first 3 games. So then I could replicate going into the first 3 rounds of a regional before the lunch break. So in each of these situations, I am testing what I want to test just to get that information. And then if I feel like playing more tomorrow, I might. But in reality, I already got everything that I needed out of this. If anything, I really think that like playing more games would probably make me play worse, risk it a little bit too much, and then probably lead to a negative mindset on this team versus right now I have a positive mindset on this team. So we're going to go take a look at the last game, but I want to say that like this team's pretty nice. I'm playing it pretty well. Sometimes people get so caught up in the meta when team building. I've been very happy with my results when building teams like THATSA. Congrats for success at the tournament. Well, thank you. So we got 1608 in for our last game of day 2. And so this is a cool looking team. I've actually talked a little bit about using Vaporeon as instead of like an Umbreon. The reason why I have a Vaporeon here is because it's great versus Kyogre. It's like a pseudo Gastro. Obviously, it still has that grass weakness, but it's not ×4. But it has that water absorb, so you can always switch this in on Kyogre. And you can just go, and it doesn't have the neutral damage from Ice Beam, but you can just go for Yawns. It's just a Yawn bot, and it's a Wish Passer. So Vaporeon actually is a pretty decent evolution in this format. Like, I definitely respect Vaporeon. Very, very cool mon. It has Baby Doll Eyes too. Great stuff. It plays just like an Umbreon, but it has Water Absorb. That's really, really good. And you already have the Yveltal. So Yveltal Zacian, if you remember, we actually dumpstered Yveltal when I was practicing, when I was playing my warm-up games, the like 10-0 Showdown run that I went. Also, I want to say that, yeah, this team went 10-0 on Showdown in testing, and then it went like undefeated in the actual IC in testing. I still haven't lost a single game with this team. But yeah, Yveltal Zacian, it can be a problem, but Zard just takes out the Yveltal if they don't max it. And if they do max it, they have to be like a bulky Yveltal. If they're bulky, I'm not as worried. Problems come up when, you know, because Zard's going to be faster than Yveltal. So that's one of the reasons why we're still using a really, really big full fast Zard. But as for the rest of the team, don't really care about Rilla because we're not going to bring the Gastro. I don't want to bring Gastro versus Vaporeon. That's a bad matchup. Raichu, if they want to go for the Nuzzle into the Zard, again, we have that Lumberry. And remember, if you remember our last game from yesterday, we went up against like, I think it was actually Yveltal Raichu or something like that. And we just popped their, I want to say it was Yveltal, and then we Swords Danced. In reality, we should have just P-Blazed and got it off the board. So in this situation, if I go Zard Groudon, I will go Wildfire into the Yveltal, and if they lead Raichu, I'll just P-Blades it, because the Wildfire would take out that Sash. And then it would just open them up to send out the Incin Zacian. We would Wider away the Incin, we would go Double Protect, and then we would just go, again, Wildfire. They have to max something, and if they didn't max the first turn, even if they did, it doesn't really matter. You see that situation? We basically went in 2 turns. If they want to go like Yveltal Raichu, we don't have to care about Vaporeon. We don't have to care about Rilla. Do you have a Sash on? Do you have to have a Sash on Raichu, or can you bring a Pokemon? You can bring a Pokemon, but I do think most people Sash it, especially on this team. You got to think where the Sash would be, right? Where is the Sash on that team? And I think that the Sash would be on the Raichu. Other than that, common items are best, I would say. I notice if I played more than 5 games a day, I make a very bad mistake. Then it makes the game much harder when I could have won in 3 turns. Yeah, I would agree. So let's just start this up. And I think that we have a pretty good matchup here. I think like on paper, this is a great matchup for me. AV Raichu used to be common, but it's not nearly as viable in Dynamax format. Yeah, I would agree. It doesn't have Endeavor anymore either, right? That was one of the reasons why you used that set. It had Endeavor. Hey, AZ, how's it going? So yeah, in this situation, I do think I go with the Incin. We go with the Incin because it checks it's a good switch in for Yveltal. It can repin their Incin, and I love being able to bring out that Incin while the Wildfire is ticking to lock up Mons. If they protect, they take Wildfire damage, and if they don't protect, they eat the Fake Out and the damage and the Wildfire damage, and it's really, really good. See, Raichu Lapras would just lose to this, though. You know, we would just go big damage. There's nothing they can actually do about it. I maybe not lose. It's hard to say. I wouldn't want to fight it either. I would just trade screens probably, realistically. But anyways, we're going into the game. And we're going to try our absolute best. Again, remember, the last Yveltal we fought didn't max when we actually fought it. So I'm hoping this one is the same thing. It just wants to go for like Snarl or like Foul Play or something. I will also state in this situation, when they led like Raichu Yveltal last time and I Swords Danced, I shouldn't have done that because like if I didn't kill the Yveltal and I Swords Danced and I was faster than Yveltal, I would have just like one-shotted my Groudon. So in this situation, like I'm looking at, like, I want to go for the P-Blades here, but I realize I have a much better option. I'm going to over-respect the Yveltal because I think the Yveltal is going to max. I wouldn't be surprised to see a max Darkness into the Groudon. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Airstream into the Groudon. I don't think that Zard's in any danger whatsoever. Also, I don't feel the need to go take the bait on that Zacian. I don't feel the need to take the bait. But I do want to set my Wildfire because that's really, really important. It's good against almost every Yveltal set. Also, I want to state that since we're not using like a Life Orb Zard, we can't go for like a Airstream here because we won't get the KO even if they didn't max. Like, so we have to actually go for the Wildfire to get the, you know, Solar Power boost would work on both, but we got to get that stab, which is working on both, but we got to get the sun damage, right? We got to get that sun boosted damage. So we waste our White Herb even though we're switching our Groudon out, but it's really cool because then we're going to be able to repin them. So remember, they switch out a Faster Mon first, we switch out a Slower Mon, so we get to redouble Intimidate them, which is really, really nice. And it's great if they're going to be maxing the Yveltal and going for like Max Darkness, boost off Foul Play or something. That'd be really, really cool. So you see we're maxing first. Zard does outspeed Yveltal because it's the best Pokemon in the world. Yeah, the dot's really important. That was a great switching of them too. They're trying to do similar to what we did in the last round with the Gastrodon. They're trying to tunnel us into over-respecting their Zacian. And I have Charizard. I also want to state that since they have a Raichu on the board on their team, I know that they don't have Wild Charge Zacian. Like, they can't hit my Zard very hard with that Zacian. They just can't. So they're trying to make Yveltal do a lot of the heavy lifting. So the second I saw that in Sin Switching, I knew that, all right, okay, Yveltal's going to try and do something. I knew it was going to max before it even did. And they're going to be trying to go after the Zard, which means my Insin's going to be relatively free to do whatever it wants for the rest of the game. Also, I want to state that in this Insin matchup, I know that I'm faster than their Insin unless they get the Airstream, which they're going to get. We could just throat shot them to stop them from going for like a Protect Parting Shot. So we're in a really good situation here. You're going to stream Unite in this channel or on YouTube? I stream Unite here, and then I upload the VODs to YouTube. So we stick our Wildfire dot. It doesn't do nearly as much as I thought, so it's a very bulky Yveltal. They Airstream us back. Look how much damage this does. Holy crap. That's a lot of damage. Like, that's a lot. And I'm like, all right, you have a damage modifier, right? You have to have like a Sharp Beak or a Life Orb, which we're going to see the Life Orb. And so the fact that we see that Life Orb here, I'm like, thank God it's Life Orb, right? So it's like, I'm really, really happy we set that dot. You may be thinking, you could have just Airstreamed. Again, it wouldn't even have done half. And I think this was a safer play. Setting that dot is just the safest way to do it. If I could have went Airstream into Wildfire this turn, that totally could have worked. But then they could have Max Guard and Parting Shot at me. I would have had to go for the, I would have had to go for the Throat Chop. It could have been all bad, right? I don't hate this position because right now where we are, we can just go Protect Zard, take out the Yveltal. Yes, we're going to take out a little bit from Solar Power, but then they have to send out Zacian. And like, we still have two Mons that threaten your Zacian. We're still in a good spot here. The fact that you're all in on this Yveltal and you're not really getting anything out of it is great. It's absolutely great. Remember, your Incineroar's intimidated too, so it can't even do anything. So we're in a great spot. Alright, subscribe to your YouTube channel so we won't miss the action. We'll appreciate it. So Zacian switching back in. They didn't like that Intimidate. Big Zacian energy on this side. And they're trying to pass an Airstream boost to their Zacian. And we're like, no. Nope. Not today. Good players know when to play defensively. If you would have went after the Incin, I don't think it would have KO'd it. I don't think you would have. I got the crit. I obviously didn't need it. We have like almost full attack on this guy. But if you would have went after the Incin, you wouldn't have KO'd it. You would have ticked out from Orb, ticked out from the Wildfire, and I'm still Flare Blitzing you. So even if I didn't get the KO, sorry, I think we still would have been okay. And Zacian ticks in, takes that Wildfire damage. That's just enough damage from my Zacian to actually get the KO. My Zacian's calc to KO other Sweeper Zacians after that much damage from Wildfire. So I really, really like this situation for me. Again, I have two threats. I got two of them. Bro, you can't fake out both of these. Are you max speed, max attack, Incineroar? No, I'm not. It's heavy speed, heavy attack, but not nearly max. So watch this. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. I know if I save my Incin, I basically win the game. Just so I can come out and get the double Intimidate, another fake out pin. We're in a great spot. We don't have to care about basically anything at all here. So he's switching the Groudon. I don't care. And I know that they're going to take my Zard out here, but that's completely fine. So you go for the fake out into the Incin slot because you gotta lock that up. You can't fake out the other one. Now I know it's really good. I'm 24-6. I hope you keep it up. Now this is my last game. This is the last game. So we're going to fire the Zard. And that's fine. Wildfire's ticking. Zard goes down. This opens up a spot for me to bring my Incin back out. And now do you see the pin that we created by foddering our Zard there? They took the bait. Like, they totally took the bait. Thank you for killing my Zard. I now have Fake Out, Intimidate, and a Mom with two big AoE attacks while you're taking that damage. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, though. Because I thought about sending out the Incin. I really did. I thought about sending out the Incin. Because, like, that was the Fake Out. That was the setup that I set up. And I was like, I don't like that. I like this more. We go right into the Zacian. I want to win the game right now. I don't want you switching on that Zacian anymore. You still have one more Pokemon back there that I don't know what it is. And so I'd hate to go for like, I'd hate to send out Incin here and have you go protect Zacian, hard switch out Incin for Rilla. That would be the loss. If you did that, you'd be able to set the terrain, pin my Groudon, and have fake out pressure versus my Zacian. I don't like that. I want to come up with something right now that says you can't do shit. Like, I don't care if you switch in your Rilla, you'll lose, you know? That's what we want. So in this situation, you have no switch-ins anymore. You can't switch to, you have no safe switch-ins from any of this. Zacian's a big bully. Yeah, your Zacian's going to outspeed me, but you don't know that. You don't want to risk that speed tie, do you? So we're just going to go double into the Zacian, and we're going to try our best to make P-Blades be a single target move versus Incineroar. So it is required that we hit our P-Blades here, because it would suck if, like, we missed our P-Blades, but I think this is a lot better at covering up for, dealing with the Rilla switch in, and also, like, we still have our Incin with our fake out and Intimidate in the back if they do decide to switch in the Rilla. That way we have something to switch to defensively. If for some reason they go protect Zacian, they also would probably still die to that P-Blades, because remember, we widered away their Intimidate. So we're in a great spot here. All we do have to do is hit P-Blades, and we should get the W. Like, they're thinking, they're like, fuck, that Zacian, it's so big right now. And it's so much harder to switch a Rilla into either of these slots. Because I could go Sacred Sword plus a P-Blades would KO your Rilla, probably. You go for the close combat, that's completely fine. We don't have to care about that at all. Spadef dropped. Big Behemoth Blade. Remember, because they got the Spadef drop and the defense drop, they're going to be KO'd by this, basically. Even though we already knew they were going to get KO'd because they took the Wildfire damage. And then we have the single target potential chance for P-Blades. I've not missed a single P-Blades all day. And you know I'm staying hitting these. Easy! Big Groudon, single target, unintimidated. Give me that value. And so I just want to know if they have Rilla in the back. Because I was like, I made the really good play to bring out the Zacian instead of the Incin. And I would have potentially opened up a situation to lose if I played passively and brought my Zacian, or sorry, my Incin out. And we see the Rilla. So I was like, you know what? That was a really, really good play. I played that super well. Like, I knew they had to have the Rilla there in that situation. And so in this situation, I win. There's nothing really to do. I'm going to go protect on Groudon just for one turn. Just because I still want Groudon to be a threat. And I know that they're probably going for Grassy Glide. I'm actually scouting for high horsepower, but I already know that this Zacian is made. Because we already saw the Life Orb. So they can't have a 1.3 modifier. We are EV trained to not die to the critical hit. What is it? Critical hit high horsepower would not KO a Zacian. So we're super fine because we're really, really bulky. You're going to see just how bulky we are in this second here. So they see Citrus. I'm like, cool. They have no damage multiplier, no expert belt or anything, no band. And look at that. Weak. You're weak. You need more hatred, Rillaboom. Had to get that guy on the board earlier. And so they also disrespect my Groudon by not clicking that Grassy Glide. You're never lucky. But you know what? We're going to take those wins. And again, I think that we just played this whole tournament like really, really well. We played all the prep games really well. And I showed you guys literally every game I played. I didn't cut any games or hide any losses or do anything. I showed the full learning process. If you actually go back and take a look at the games that I played with when I learned how to play this team on Showdown, I learned how to play the team progressively better over the course of it, which means so when we played really hard opponents today, we actually had all the tools to win. So one thing for foul play, it does more damage to us say if we keep Intimidate. What is it? Let me read what this says. Like how you switched Groudon out for Incin, then Intimidated Yveltal. Yeah, so the way it works is it doesn't take your attack into account, it takes mine. So if I'm really like big, if I'm unintimidated, it does more. Keep Intimidated -6. No, you don't intimidate it. Like foul play would do no damage if you went to -6. But you can see 1649, we're top 2K. I don't know if I'll play anymore, but we did go 10-0. While dropping the big sub, thank you, my friend. You're going to team up with me for the Unite tournament later. Big 10-0. Big undefeated 10-0. We do be taking those. Like, I really do think that I probably could play more games. Like, this team could obviously get me to like 1700 within probably like 5 games. But I think I'm good here. Like, I literally tested everything I wanted to test, and I wanted to with this team just get an understanding for how this team played. So if I have to play against it at Salt Lake, I'll understand what I need to do to beat it. Yo, Asmag dropping the Prime sub as well. Yo, a Hype Train's close. Appreciate it. Yo, the big Prime sub. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a really fun team to play. I had fun building it. And I built it in a way that I normally wouldn't build a team. Like, I took an already established team and tweaked it to my playstyle, which was a lot of fun.